Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar on cooperatives in Finland, and especially how to start a cooperative in Finland. My name is Kari Huhtala. I work as the Director of Cooperation here at Pellervo Co-op Center, which is an umbrella organization of Finnish cooperatives, central organization of Finnish cooperatives. Warmly welcome. And with me here in the studio is our visiting expert, Richard Korpman.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Nice to be here.
And you come from a cooperative of which we will hear more in detail after 15 minutes. In the introduction, I will first tell about cooperatives in Finland and how to start a cooperative and what kind of rules and regulations stipulate a cooperative business form in Finland. Let us get started. What is a cooperative to start with? First of all, a cooperative is a business. It's a firm, but it is owned by its members, not, for instance, by investors. That is one difference to investor-owned companies. A cooperative is a firm whose goal is, instead of maximizing profit, to maximize the benefit of its members. And then onwards, instead of capital, the focus is on people. It is a people-centered firm or an enterprise. Cooperatives are governed and steered by democratic principles. What does this mean in practice? It means that everybody's ownership, every member's ownership and voting power is equal. So we talk about an equally governed enterprise where each member has one vote. Unlike in limited liability companies, voting rights go according to the number of shares. A few facts and figures on cooperatives in Finland overall. Finland has been called one of the most cooperative countries in the world. What does it mean in practice? It means that out of the adult population in Finland, 90% has at the minimum one membership. For instance, I have 2 memberships. I don't know how many memberships my colleague Richard has, but there are, as you see, more memberships in Finnish cooperatives than there are people. We have 5.5 million people, but 7.4 million memberships in cooperatives. This is quite an impressive number. We have 3,500 cooperative firms, of which many are large, but then most of them are small. And they operate in several sectors, in consumer cooperation, grocery stores, in banking, in forestry, in agriculture, insurance, mutual insurance sector, and so-called infrastructure services. For instance, broadband cooperatives or water maintenance cooperatives or electricity cooperatives. They employ approximately 100,000 people. It means 5.5% of the private sector. 37 up to 38 billion euros in turnover last year. 2 billion euros in investment, probably more, but at minimum. And cooperatives have paid taxes 8 billion euros during the 20th decade. So this is the overall picture. But today we are going to talk about starting cooperatives. We have calculated that on average right now, approximately 50 new cooperatives are being established in Finland. Earlier, it was more, 200, 250 per each year. So we hope that there will be more cooperatives in the future, and even more cooperatives would be established, started in Finland in the future. A brief comparison between a cooperative firm and some other forms of firms. Here, I'm comparing sole trader, limited liable company, which is probably well known among you and among people overall, and then a cooperative. What are the liabilities in these forms of businesses? A sole trader, he or she is always liable for anything with all of his or her assets, personal assets. But in limited liable company and cooperative, this liability is limited. It is limited to the amount of invested capital in the firm. Similarly, in these two forms of firms. How many partakers are usually in these firms? Sole trader, 1, limited liable company, from 1 up to several. But in cooperative, you can well, establish a cooperative by yourself, so 1 person. But it is the whole idea is to have business together with your peers, your friends, your colleagues, and so there is no maximum number from 1 to anything. How about the capital? There is no minimum capital in any of these firms. So in a cooperative, you don't need any minimum capital. Bookkeeping, single entry in sole trader, but in an LLC and in a cooperative, double entry. Rotation and maintenance of ownership, not possible in sole trader. In an LLC, it is possible, but requires certain types of arrangement. For instance, that those who exit, they need to resell their shares to a third person, or then to their like peer share owners. But in a cooperative, rotation and increase of the number of members or decrease is very flexible. It doesn't require any arrangements in terms of shares, cooperative shares. It is very easy to enter a cooperative, but also to exit it if necessary. Then a few more perspectives into a cooperative. Why a cooperative? What is the idea, and when and why would it be beneficial? One that is quite self-evident, that when there are several peers working, providing services together, so you save costs. Cost per member are reduced, and at the same time per unit. And at the same time, also you can reduce the risk of doing business. For instance, if one person in a cooperative, one member gets sick or is occupied, so you can have a substitute in your peer instead of being responsible for all tasks and liabilities by yourself. It is a firm with limited liability, as I told, that your financial liabilities are limited in a cooperative. It is flexible. The organization is low and agile, and it promotes innovation, and it's easy to join and leave, as I told. And at last, but not the least, it is a simple way for the client of the cooperative to order services or work or products from one place, from one spot to say, instead of making contracts with several single entrepreneurs. Because the cooperative manages its members' products and services from one outlet. It is a very efficient and simple and attractive way to negotiate and to make contracts between the client and the cooperative. Here is a picture which relates of the same benefits, functions that I told earlier, but if I describe the idea of this picture with a few words, first, you have members above, and it is typical that those members provide their services, their expertise, their work, products to the market. So instead of doing it by themselves individually, they do it through the cooperative, whose task in turn is, for instance, to market and sell those products or services. Most often, many say that cooperative is a marketing channel for its members. And it is the cooperative in this case that makes all contracts and handles and manages them. Also, this procurement is more efficient when you are more than if you were by yourself. Then when a cooperative is selling something, negotiating, you get so-called bargaining power towards the client, because you have so many members within the cooperative. You can tell that we have volume, we have quality, and in this way you can bargain lower prices per unit if you are buying something, or if you are selling something, to get higher prices per unit than compared to some other situation. And then the third, on the right hand side, any entrepreneur needs to take care of certain administrative tasks in the firm, for instance, invoicing or bookkeeping or venues where they operate. So instead of doing it again by yourself, the cooperative can provide this kind of services to take care of invoicing for its members, to provide the platform where to work together, and all necessities that are needed for members' business. So benefits of scale, lower costs per unit, and knowledge increase. When you work together, you all at the same time, when you work for the cooperative, you also own it. And I almost forgot to mention this, that how important it is that these members, they are not only contractors or subcontractors, they are not at all subcontractors. They are owners of this particular cooperative. So they can gather together to the annual cooperative meeting, make decisions. Some of them get elected on the board of the cooperative. So they also for the management of and the leadership of the cooperative firm. And finally, how to set up a cooperative in Finland. Here is a link, startcooperative.pellervo.fi, where you can find a guide. My colleague Matti will show and present this guide after a while, where you find it. But very briefly, and to set how to start a cooperative. First, a person or an association or a foundation can establish a cooperative. So the Finnish legislation is quite flexible. What you need to do is to sign an article of incorporation, one member in the minimum, as I said, and then you need to write up an incorporation documents, article of incorporation, and make rules or bylaws, how you want to name them, call them. We recommend that please use Pellervo's model bylaws, which are in this guide in English. Sure, you need to remember that officially, while this is in English, in Finland, you need to write your bylaws either in Finnish or in Swedish, which are the two languages being used. Officially, you need to have the rules in these languages. But sure, you can have first like make a sketch in English if you want. And then the minutes of board of the selection of chairperson, you need to select the chairperson. And then the registration happens in the Trade Register of Finland, which can be found online, and the fee is 380 euros. And then in case you have such a sector that requires a special license to operate, so please provide that documentation. This was my introduction, and you can freely send questions, comments on the chat, and my colleague Matti will collect them and we will answer now or later. It is up to Matti to decide when they are being answered. But otherwise, if no comments coming right now, again, welcome, Richard.
Thank you.
The floor is yours, and we will hear about one cooperative recently started.
Okay. Thanks, Kari. Yeah, it's very nice to be here in this seminar and have the possibility to present our small cooperative founded 1 year ago. My name is Rickard Korkman. I'm chairman of the board. This is a food cooperative, as you can see, and I'm also a farmer myself. In fact, working for the Swedish-speaking Farmers Union in Finland. So I know Kari from this job also. Yes. So if you have some questions after this short presentation and discussions, be kind and be in contact with me directly through my email, for example. Yes, I have a couple of slides very shortly presenting our cooperative. And after that, we will discuss with Kari. And also, if you have discussions in the audience, please put them forward. But in a nutshell, as I already said, the cooperative is founded in November 22. Something we're really proud of is that we are Finland's first consumer and producer food cooperative. I have to explain a little bit. It's not that ordinary that you have consumers and producers in the same cooperative. You know, we have these big consumer cooperatives that have about 40% of the food market, I think, in Finland. They are consumers because traditionally you think that there's a different interest between consumer and producer. But because we are a local food cooperative, a so-called regional food hub, I want to explain that a little bit more. So the idea is that there are consumers who are interested in getting the service in what we are providing, helping to get the local food from the Uusimaa region. And then we have the producers who are really fighting for their place in the market, and they need market access. So this there's a common interest for these both parties, which are put together in the cooperative. I know that Kari will ask about why your cooperatives. I won't answer the question right now. We can get back to that, why we decided to choose the cooperative as a company form. But we are a regional food hub. Food hub is defined, for example, by the American Agriculture Department, USDA. I've been taking a course myself in food hub management in Vermont University in USA, and the idea is from there. The service we provide is that we aggregate, distribute, and market local food in the metropolitan area. Today we are 4 members, are 4 producers and 40 consumer members. We of course want to grow and want to have more members, but I get also back to that. One person is working for us part-time, but because we're a small company, also like Kari was saying, it's a member-driven company form. So in fact, the board is an operative board. So we have our own tasks in the board, and this is something that we're working with very closely, because in a company there's a lot of work to do, and when you're small you have to just try to get all the job done. Then perhaps about how does this just all work, so you get an idea of our service, what we are providing. We want to provide consumers with local possibility to get local produced food, and with local we mean in the Uusimaa region produced. We have also producers outside of the region, but it's very important that they are small producers, and the origin is very clear, that we have the product and we know who is producing the product. So it's what do you call it? Transparent, yes. So already before the company, with the help of projects, this is something, it's an idea to use if you are planning, you're still in the business plan phase, perhaps to try to get some project financing. So we developed a platform. We are very proud of the platform. It works very well. It's not, of course, finished. We can develop it further, but it's a working platform. The cycle is so at the moment that, and it's the platform is open also for non-members, both consumers and producers. So it's not required to be a member of the cooperative to use. But always when people ask me, why should I be a member? I answer them that if you want to develop something like that, we need the people to develop it. You know, nothing is happening by themselves. Nothing is happening by itself. So at this moment, we don't really have so many member, what do you call it? We don't have any, what do you call it? Member, benefits. We don't have so many member benefits, because we think that there are people in the metropolitan area who are interested in developing this, and that's the main thing to become a member. Then we need users, and there it's then up to marketing and so on. And we have our it works like this, that we have 3 self-service pickup points in Helsinki. We have one in Herttoniemi, one in Nihtisilta in Espoo, and then we have, and they are self-service there. They are just empty places where you go and pick up your, or there are no people, because you open with your smartphone the lock and you go in and pick up your orders. Then we have a cooperation with a restaurant in Helsinki city center, restaurant Sherd on Fredrikinkatu. And so we have a little bit different concept there. Pickup day is Thursday, Friday, and orders closes at Tuesday night. And then we market it through weekly newsletter. I think we have about 1,500 subscribers of the newsletter that goes weekly. And we have weekly about 200 products, very big scale, because it's important, we think, that we have interesting products and both vegetables, fish, meat, whatever, and about 15 to 20 producers, different producers selling their products weekly. We are in that sense very special, that we are using a transparent pricing. So when you, as a consumer, use our services, you can see how much of the price of the product goes to the producer, how much goes to the food hub, and how much goes to taxes. Because from the consumer price, 12.3% is value-added tax. We have 14% value-added tax, and 20% of the consumer price goes to food hub for paying rents and so on. So what we are really aiming with the member activities is to make a reconnection between the consumer and the farmer and the producer. We don't have, it's not only farmers we have as producers, we have also ethnical producers of food products working in Helsinki area, so on. So we have really different type of producers, and we strongly believe in that it's important, and there is an interest from the consumers to visit these production facilities and farms and understand more about how the food is produced. So probably I missed something very important, but I think Kari probably can pick up some missing answers in the discussion. But thank you. This was about what I was planning to say.
Thank you, Richard. This was really interesting. There was much new for myself as well.
Okay.
And I suppose there are questions. Are there any questions online yet? Not yet, but please target your questions either to me regarding my presentation or to Richard concerning this cooperative, how it works, and whatsoever you want to ask. But while you are thinking about your questions, so maybe I pick up a few points and a few questions to Richard. While this cooperative is such an interesting, we each eat food. So maybe many of us are interested. Who are those producers? What kind of people are those producers and consumers who are engaged in this cooperative?
Well, I think
how would you
as I tried to explain, so the interest is a little bit different for the producers is exactly what you said in your presentation, to be more effective in reaching out on the market when you can do it in cooperation with others. And then when it comes to the consumers, so it's people, you know, I think the local food movement, there is always a group of people who are really interested in that, and it also has to do with food culture and valuing the food, you know, and we can provide the possibility to get, you know, year-round, weekly products to a place near you. So it's easy. You know, the alternative would be that the individual consumer would go to each of the farms and pick up these things. But you know, everybody is busy and they don't have time. So this is the service that we want to provide. We want to make it easy. Of course, it's not like a traditional food retail. Very difficult, of course, to compete with something that is 24 open, you know, and we have this one pickup day, which is flexible. You can come up, you don't have to be a certain hour picking up. Yes. You can, during 1.5 day, pick up your stuff that you have ordered and paid in advance.
That local food that is being produced.
That's right.
Nearby.
That's right. And at our pickup points, we have 3 atmospheres. We have cold and freezer, and then room temperature. So we can really have also freeze products, yes, you know, in our selection.
Yes, and many of those people who are thinking about starting a firm, they choose either being a sole trader or a limited liability company. How did it go that you chose a cooperative form?
Yeah, well,
and
this
why?
is a very
and
good.
Why?
This is a very good question, and I can tell you it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because there's a lot of innovation. This is in a way I feel it as a startup. It's a startup business, and
you call it a startup cooperative.
Yeah, you can say a startup cooperative. Yeah, and
wow.
but you know, we were talking about that there are those people who has sort of developed this. So in a cooperative, it's not easy to have an exit strategy, you know, because it's a different type of organization. You know, this one man and one vote. Yes. You know, it's not according to how much you have been put in, you know, development in the business. So, but after really thinking it through, we were very happy about this decision in this actual case, because we strongly believe in this idea that it's a service that we are providing, and in fact the business and the cooperative must have a healthy economy, and it has to be able to develop also. So it's not, you know, you must doing business as a cooperative also, but I think the aim is the main aim is that the consumers want to get these products, what they want, and the producer want to sell them, get them sold. So the really business is the producer is doing the business, you know, on the farm. And this is more a marketing, in a way, marketing effort too, and also a cooperation effort. And we also think that we really strong that feel that we want to, as I also said to Kari earlier, we are a social enterprise. We have it in our.
So you call yourselves
as
a social enterprise.
Social enterprise. So the idea with the cooperative in this case is not to make, you know, a lot of money to its members. You know, it's more the idea to provide the service.
You emphasized earlier in your presentation how the members are part of the innovation process. So what does it mean in practice? How are your members, for instance, consumers, how are they involved in innovation in your language in practice, or are some of them passive and some are
okay
active? How does it go?
We want to keep up a dialogue with our members. This is something that we want to develop, but I would say that at the moment it's more the board of the members who are the innovative.
And how many are you?
We are nine people in the board of,
and all are members.
All are
of
members.
The
Yeah. They don't have. We have in our statutes. We can also have people outside. We can have, for example, some specialist in investment or something in our board. But at the moment, all members are also. All members of the board are also members in the cooperative.
Can you tell a bit about the board work, how you work, and you told about some roles?
Yeah, well, at the moment, I would say that we're still in the startup phase as a cooperative after now a year. So we have board meetings once a month and really try to involve our board members in the. But okay, I don't think it's so different from any other company. So, but I would say to your question, so I see our members as a really valuable asset, also in spreading the word, you know, about this, because the big challenge for us, because it's a new way of buying the food, is marketing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's take 1-2 questions from the screen, and then we continue. Hakan is asking that one person could establish cooperative. Still, that is correct. That cooperative act says that one person can establish, but as I told, the idea is to have several, usually those who begin with one member, so they invite other members.
Okay, that was the first question. The other one is a really good question.
Can you read it aloud so people in recording can hear it also? The question.
The question was, I remember that one person could establish a co-op.
No, the next one.
Okay, the next one. Yeah. Can you read the question so I can answer it?
The second one. The second question is, how could you manage the interest of two different groups, producers and consumers? I mean, consumers want to buy the lowest price, however, producers want to sell the top price.
Yeah, well,
traditional question.
That's really, it's a really good question, and I would say everybody is aware of this question. To make it clear, the cooperative has nothing to do with the pricing. The producer prices themselves. And this is, I think, very valuable thing, because we lift up the producer in the consumer rajapinta, consumer surface, or there's a better word also, but we, because in the traditional system, the guy in the shop want to buy as cheap as possible, and then they are taken out. They know what the market is willing to pay, but here is the producer, and we are not focused very much on the price, and of course it affects probably our sales a lot, but we have done some research, and our products similar to us, and also we have some products that are the same in these big shops, so they are cheaper in our on our sales channel. So yes, I think the producers are much aware about the market. They now know how to. They know if it's too high, nobody will buy it. So the nice thing with our model is that the producer is the one who's pricing. It's in a way a direct sale.
Have you ever run into the question of this kind of conflict between consumer and producer, that consumers would, for instance, claim that prices are too high?
Yeah, of course. We have a lot of very special products. You know, we have a lot of, I should have said that in my presentation, that we have a lot of organic products, very special products that of course they cost more. But in fact, as a chairman of the board, somebody can say that, okay, we have, for example, a product. Now I just really go out and say, well, this is perhaps a little bit general, but let's say we have a bread which is done on organic flour. It's a lot more expensive than it's a small baker doing it, and so I don't see it as a big problem, you know, because I think the producers and farmers, they have the interest to get their products sold, so they know how to price them, and they can price them themselves. So they
and I understand that in the board you have representatives from both producers and consumers, so you can discuss this kind of issues on the board.
Yeah, that's right. So in fact, we have in our statutes that I think it's so that half of the members are representing the producers and half of the consumers. Okay?
That sounds very cooperative.
Yeah, it's very cooperative. Yeah, so that means that exactly what you say, that we can have this discussion and give some signals to the producers. We can say that, okay, now the consumers are saying that, hey, they would buy this, but it feels too expensive. Have you been thinking about this? That okay, perhaps if you go down a little bit with the price, you can sell more and so on. Yes. So
I would say that this is really interesting. This is a very ambitious effort, very ambitious, and I respect that you have started this kind of so-called multi-purpose cooperative. And just thinking that maybe one fact that is easing out this setup between consumer and producer in a cooperative is that there are no third hands or third partners like investors who are requiring profit or high interest on the invested capital. There is no such partner. That is one good point to remember.
Yeah, in fact, I can say that our statutes are very modern, so we have opened up also for investors. But what we are interested in is of course perhaps you would call them social investors, that think that they want to change the society and they're willing to put. And of course, when if we would get, we don't have at the moment, but we can our statutes make it possible, and this is something that we perhaps want to do also. But I think it would be arranged in somehow that because also if we need money from somewhere else, we have to pay some kind of rent, what do you call it, korko interest rate on the money. So probably this would be something that would be dealt in that way, and I think that's not a problem at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
did I understand it right that besides that your consumer members are kind of clients of those sales, you also have restaurants as clients, is that right?
No, before the cooperative, we started to develop also sales to the restaurants, but this was before the COVID.
Okay,
COVID,
but you're planning on continuing?
Perhaps not at the moment. We want to concentrate on this business to consumer model, because it takes, of course, a lot of resources, and my experience is, if I'm honest, is it's not easy to deal with restaurants because they are very demanding, and so also the consumers are demanding. I don't say that, but in another way, they have their own systems and so on. So but it's possible. We can in fact, whenever we want, we can open that gate also, but we are not doing it at the moment. Yeah.
Then two questions, but maybe I ask them together. To summarize, first, that what have been the biggest benefits to have a cooperative? First, benefits, and then have you run into some challenges during this process that are typical for a cooperative, or have you had any challenges, benefits and challenges?
Yeah, I think I've tried to explain the benefits in a way that it feels really good in this type of business that we are.
What is good?
No, it's somehow the in this market that we know that the producers are the weak part in the food chain. So we are strengthening their position in a smart way, and
economic responsibility.
That's sustainability. And perhaps the sort of the image. I really like it because we have been planning this. We have been starting the work with the Food Hub, I think 3-4 years ago or longer, and already from the start we thought that the cooperative model would be the one we would want to. But then we were really thinking about this. Hey, with this, I would say that the sort of the exit strategy for the entrepreneurs in this model, because here is certain people who are the entrepreneurs, so they are giving up the exit strategy in a way in the cooperative. But we see so much other positive factors in the model. So it's quite a lot for us, I would say, image but then the negative thing is, I would say, the problems to get investors and perhaps the expansion of the model, because they want to have the possibility to make profit. And
is it possible, according to your, based on your bylaws, that such investors would be able to enter your cooperative as an investor, not necessarily as a client, but an investor? Is
Yes.
it possible?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
Are you actively like
No,
seeking for
not
such
at the
investors?
moment, but it was really important for me when we established a cooperative that we have this possibility. So this was something that we really, with the help of you, I can recommend these guys with with the statutes
And Mr. Jarmo Hänninen.
Jarmo Hänninen. So if you there, guys out in the audience, think about starting a cooperative, I recommend to discuss with the experts. And of course, the most important thing is to think yourself, what do you want? But you can put almost whatever you want. There's something in the cooperative law that you have to check up, that is it possible, but we have put in this possibility, and in fact it's built like that of course if you want some investors, they want to be sure that they get out their money first, and this is also something that you can do, and I think it's fair, because if you take an investor, it's another thing. The members have established this cooperative for a certain reason. They want this service. They're not there for getting the small, because I didn't tell, for the consumer it's 50 euros to be a member, and for the producer it's 500 euros
Membership.
Yeah, membership fee. So it's really ridiculous to think that you would pay some interest rate on your 50 euros membership fee. But if you come as an investor and put in 10,000 euros because you want to develop this model, then you have to do it like that. When we are doing some profit in the future, that they can get out their money from
But these investors get the maximum 1 vote, or
that's right. But because that's right, they have the same rights as the members, and therefore it has to be stronger with the money.
yes,
They have to get
Some
the
other-
money.
some other
Otherwise,
incentives.
they have no interest.
yes,
But you know, we talk about these philanthropic investors. It's people. I think they're out there who want to change the world, and they want to.
Yeah.
Because I think this what we are doing is changing the world. We are taking out sort of a middleman, even if the food hub is a middleman, but it's a middleman owned by consumers and producers.
By
its owners.
yes.
So I had
Well-
really
well-
big
well said.
difficulties to say that buy directly from the farmers. But one of our farmers said that this is directly because it's our company.
yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
So therefore you can say buy directly, even if you have this middleman. It's not to buy like from a farm, because so we market ourselves that, because we have discussed this through, and I had some difficulties to say it in the beginning, but nowadays I accept it, and I think it's very nice to be able to say you can buy through our food hub directly from the producers.
Richard, that was so well said that I want to thank you.
Thank you.
We are soon wrapping up this webinar. This was really interesting, and I am sure that all we who have been listening to Richard and his the story of this food hub, we are convinced of that your cooperative is very modern. It is not a typical cooperative, but it is a good example of a modern cooperative where different two types of memberships meet up, consumers and producers, and at the same time you have different types of memberships. I would say standard traditional memberships, but this kind of investor memberships as well.
Even if you haven't used it yet.
Even if you haven't used it. Thank you. And then before we conclude, so Matti, would you please show us where you can find our guide how to start a cooperative in English on our websites, and while Matti is looking for it. So I would like to repeat what Richard already said, that please contact us, send us email when you are planning on starting a cooperative. We are willing to help you out, but before you contact us, so please go and familiarize with our guide. But then, can you now show our guide?
Okay, so here is the guide. So it starts cooperative.pellervo.fi, and we have here, for example, clear rules, model bylaws, but you have to have them in Finnish, so you have to have some translated later included in the process. But we will send you the link with the recording and the materials and presentations.
So, thanks again, and I wish you a good autumn and all success in your aspirations, especially